So this video is going to be about why hosting virtual events is the fastest way to get paid to speak. Now, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because of the myth that I have realized that a lot of people believe in their minds in regards to what they really need to do to get paid to speak, right? They think that they need to go get booked by some corporation. They think that they need to go pitch themselves to different corporations or businesses or organizations, which that is the long way. I have been booked to speak every year since 2018, at least once every year since 2018, and I never pitched myself to no event organizer or no business, no corporation or anything like that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it that way. I'm just saying that the faster way for you to do it is for you to start hosting virtual events, because in my experience, every time I got asked to speak outside of my hometown and I got flown out to speak, it was because somebody came to one of my virtual events, whether it be a class, a workshop, showing up on a live or whatever. Like, they got to experience whatever I was teaching and speaking and talking about, whatever my expertise was, the problem that I was helping people solve. They were moved by that, and that is the reason why they asked me to come to this city to speak. If you want to host a virtual event before the end of 2026, you want to know, well, how many people may even show up at my virtual event? I want to do the math with you, because here's the thing. Here's the main reason why a lot of y'all are scared to actually even put yourself out there as a speaker. Number one, you're afraid that nobody's going to show up. I've been talking on this live probably for like almost 3 minutes, and there's nobody on here. If I had been scared of that from 2018, then I would not have been an entrepreneur for the past 8 years, and I wouldn't have had all the speaking experiences that I've had over the past 8 years. But here's the thing. You have to understand that when you reverse engineer the math is what will neutralize how you feel about you getting paid to speak. Because the other part of why a lot of y'all aren't doing it is because of your nervous system is going into freeze. Right? You're going into a nervous system freeze because you're thinking about your fear of being seen and your fear of being unseen. I know that there's hardly anybody on here, but most of y'all will be like, well, I'm scared to go live because what if nobody shows up? Guess what? You have to push through that anyway. And so that is where the nervous system freeze comes in. And if I'm looking up, because I have some notes right here on my whiteboard, so if you see me looking up, that's why. See, that's one of the things that helps you actually stop being afraid, because you'll be like, oh, well, what if I forget what I'm supposed to say? There's a lot of ways that you can help yourself not forget what you're supposed to say when you are doing some type of speaking event. So if you go look at all of my pictures, and a lot of my pictures, I'm holding something in my hand. You know what's in my hand? Notes. Right? I'm writing stuff on the whiteboard so that I don't forget what the heck I'm supposed to be saying. At some of my events, I got a PowerPoint presentation behind me. Those are the things that help you remember what the hell you're supposed to be saying. But anyway, so number one, hosting virtual events is the fastest path to you getting paid to speak. Why? Because you built up a relationship with the people that is in your audience, okay? The people that were in my audience were people that owned wellness centers, people that had venues that they already had, like a yoga center. Like one of the girls who bought me out, she already had a yoga center. And so yes, she said I could use her space, right? You never know who's already in your virtual audience. And that is the reason why when you stand in front of a virtual audience and you actually express your expertise and you stand up there and you speak and you teach, you never know who's on the other side. And those are the people that will reach out to you and say, hey, I want you to bring that to my city. That happened to me over and over and over. We talking about 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. If you start hosting virtual events and showing your expertise, that is where you will get invited to speak. And that is the reason why hosting virtual events is the fastest path to you getting paid. Here's the other reason why hosting virtual events is the fastest path to you getting paid. Because when you have a back-end offer, you can make the money right there, rather than you waiting for some corporation to cut you a check. That's what most of y'all are doing. Most of y'all are saying, oh, I want to wait for, some company to bring me in and for them to cut me a check. No, if you actually have something to offer your audience, besides the event itself, then you can sell your offer on the back end. So for me, when I would host in-person events, I will also sell the self-realization of a goddess course, which was an online course that I did every year, right? And so, but then I wound up changing it, but it didn't even matter because whatever else I was offering, I always hosted a virtual event and sold what I was offering on the back end of it. Let me give you an example. The last virtual event I did in October, it was like $8. I had what people call a high ticket offer for the back end, right? It was originally $1,111 offer, but I also had a discount on it because it was an early bird, right? That was $888. So 6 people that came to that event took that offer. That means, I'm putting all my business out here, but that means that I made over $5,000 at that virtual event. I did not wait for somebody to bring me in as a speaker to say, hey, we want to bring you in. Now I had to deliver the thing that I promised them at the virtual event, which was a 9-week mentorship with me, but still, the point is that I made over $5,000 and I was standing in my living room. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell y'all when it comes to you making money from hosting a paid event. I talked about the nervous system, how you go into a nervous system freeze because you're afraid that nobody's going to show up, because you're afraid that nobody cares about what you have to say. You have to get past that. I already said that. So here's where the math comes in at, okay? Whether you're watching this now or watching this later, if you want to host a virtual event in 2026, I want you to drop down in the comments how many followers you have, because I can tell you off the top of my head, generally speaking, and using industry benchmarks, how many people are likely to actually show up at your virtual event, which that is how we reverse engineer your revenue goal. So if you have a revenue goal of, let's go high and say you want to make $10,000 at a virtual event. Now I'm going high. Can your nervous system handle that? That's the first question, right? Let me go off on a tangent just a little bit. So when you guys are signing up for these big box mentorships and coaching programs, and they're telling you, I'm going to show you how to make $10,000 in the next 90 days, and you all hype, oh yeah, let me sign up for that or whatever, you need to ask yourself, can my nervous system actually hold that story? Because if your nervous system can't hold that story, you're not going to execute nothing that they're telling you to do. And when I say, can your nervous system hold that story, I mean, do you actually believe that you can follow what they're telling you to do step by step and that you can manifest $10,000 every month after that? Because most of y'all are going to say that, yeah, you believe it, but then when it actually comes time for you to do it, you don't do it. And you don't understand why you're not doing it. I'm telling you right now that you're not doing it because your body doesn't believe you. There's something disconnected between what you're saying in your mind and your body. And I'm saying this from a metaphysical perspective. For those who may be new coming on my page, hi, I'm Dr. Kamisha. I'm a metaphysical psychologist, okay, who just happens to get booked to speak and travel and host virtual events and all of that stuff. So what I'm saying is, before you go jump out there and sign up for some multi-$1,000 coaching program or whatever, think about, can my nervous system actually hold this story? Because that's where most of y'all are dropping the ball at. So let's get back to, let's say you do want to host a virtual event and you want to make $10,000. You can reverse engineer the math on that. Here's the numbers that you need to know. You need to know how many followers you have. Duh, you can figure that out easily. You need to know what percentage of those followers is a warm audience. You also need to know, if you have an email list, which you should, how many people on your email list actually open your emails. That is your warm audience. Because you need to look at the percentage of the people that is your warm audience. So if you, let's say you have, let me see, I'm going to use my phone to do some of the math, okay? Let's say you have 10,000 followers. And when I say followers, I'm talking about across platforms. I'm not just talking about on one platform. So you can have 10,000 followers across multiple platforms, right? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your analytics and you're going to go look at how many profile visits did you get in the past 90 days. Why 90 days? Because you want to get an idea of how many people visit your profile on a monthly basis over the previous 90 days. Because that's the number that you're going to use to reverse engineer how much you could possibly make. Now you got to go into this with knowing how much do you want to make. There's a calculator that I actually created. If you want the calculator, drop the word calculator in the comments. It's a Google Doc that's going to show you how to break down everything that I'm about to show you. But anyway, okay, let's say you got 10,000 followers across the board. And let's say you got, let's just stick with the followers for now. You got 10,000 followers. To only about 2% of that audience, let's say 3 to be very generous, are actually paying attention to your content. Okay, when I say actually paying attention, I mean they go to your profile. It's important to know the percentage of people that go to your profile because that is your real, true, warm audience. We're talking about the people that actually go to your profile and start binging on your content. That's your warm audience. So when you go to your profile and you see, okay, if you got 10,000, I'm going to do the math right now, and 1%, no, we said we're going to do 3%. 10,000 times 3%. So that means that you really got 300 people that is your warm audience out of that whole 10,000. Now, mind you, this is rough math because some of these people are the same people because people will follow you on every platform. But we're just doing this to kind of give you an idea of how to do the math. So now if you take your email list, add that on there, right? I don't know. Let's say you got, let me write this down so that I don't forget the number that I just came up with. So you got 300, that's your warm audience on social media. So then now let's say you got 1,000 people. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. Let's say you got 1,000 people in your email list. And let's say you have a 20% open rate. That's pretty normal. So there's another 200 people. Okay? That means you got a warm audience of 500 people. Now you need to know what percentage of those people would actually come if you launched a virtual event. Well, there's ways you can find this out, but you need to start collecting data. Data is very important in this. But if you have no data, like if you never did a virtual event before, we're going to use industry benchmarks, which industry benchmarks say that about 1 to 3% of your audience might actually buy something from you, okay? Let's stay in the middle. Let's say 2%, okay? I've done my numbers. My numbers is actually 2%. But hey, people might love you more than they love me, so you might have a higher number, but let's use 2%. So now you got 500 people. That's your warm audience times 2%. That's 10 people that may actually sign up. So we started off with 10,000 followers. You see how easily we went all the way down to 10? Now, these are the people that bought a ticket to come to your virtual event. That don't mean that they all gonna show up live, right? Even if you have like a birthday party or something like that. What's the rule? Probably only about half of those people going to actually come to the party. It's the same thing when you're doing online events. So, out of that 10 people, only 5 people actually going to be in the room. So, if you want to sell something on the back end, you have a higher percentage of selling your real offer because the event itself is not the real offer. The real offer is you helping them transform something in their life by offering them something more long term, okay, or to work with you on a closer basis. So now you got 5 people in the room. Here's the tricky part. This is where you need to know your conversion rate. This is where you need to know how good are you at selling in front of a live audience. Well, virtually anyway, because in front of an actual live audience is a little bit of a different energy than in front of a virtual audience. So if you sold one of those 5, what is the percentage of that? I think that's like a 25% close rate. So let's say you have an average 25% close rate. This is why you need to know what your close rate is. But if you have no experience in this, you're not going to know that. And that's okay. Industry benchmark is people have a tendency to be between 5 and 20%. So I probably just gave you a little bit more than what your close rate actually is for somebody that's new to selling in front of a live audience. But anyway, because if you got 5 people sitting in front of you and you have an offer on the back end that's $1,000, you only need to sell one of those people. It doesn't matter how much you charge on the front. It doesn't matter how much you, because that's what a lot of y'all are doing. Y'all are like hosting events and y'all are like, oh, the tickets are $15 or whatever, and you don't have anything else to offer them. That definitely leads to burnout. And you are not even capturing the lifetime value of your audience or your customer, or however you want to phrase it. So getting back to your 5 people that you got in the room, we're not ignoring the 5 people that didn't show up. They're going to watch the replay, but statistically, most of the time the people that actually buy your offer, they are in the room. So if you sold to one of those person $1,000 offer, then you made your $1,000 plus whatever the ticket sales was, or it could have been a free event, however you set it up. And do your first $1,000 offer right there. I know I made it sound like it's really easy, but there's of course, there's a lot of moving parts in there. So let me see. Levers. That's the other thing I said I was going to talk about. What I mean by levers is if you listen to this whole thing and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. This is where we get to look at what each lever is. By lever, I mean, in order for you to increase your warm audience, do you need to send more people to your profile? Do you need to get better at converting people that actually click on your landing page, that actually click on your website to sign up for something? That means that you need to get better at writing copy. I'm telling you where the levers are to actually increase the conversion rates. Okay? You might need more followers from the jump, which means you need to get better at making content. Which means you need to also solve an expensive problem. That's another thing when you come up with what is your back end offer. Because how you're going to sell somebody is something that's $1,000 and you don't know what your back end offer is. So you have to come up with an expensive problem. We are doing all of this in the Identity Lab. Okay? But the thing about the Identity Lab is that, and what makes the Identity Lab different from a lot of so-called big box coaching program, because it's not really a coaching program. It's a community. And in there, we do nervous system checks. I have nervous system checks with my students because I know that that's the reason why they're not executing. If they get stuck somewhere, I already know why. It's because they went into a nervous system freeze. And so it's part of the community for me to check in with them, okay, about where they're having nervous system freezes at. But anyway, yeah, there's different levers that you can pull that will actually increase your conversion rate. Your conversion rate from when you're selling in front of the audience, increase your conversion rate for the landing page, all of that. You just got to know which one you need to reverse engineer. So that is how we predict the turnout. If you already know that you got this many followers and this percentage of your audience goes to your profile, you take a percentage of those people. And that's how you figure out how many people may come to your virtual event. It's probably going to be about 2 to 3%. Well, let's say 1 to 3% of your follower count. All right. Make a note that I done sat on here and talked on here for 21 minutes and I don't think not one person came on here. This is the shit that you got to get past if you actually want to make money from hosting virtual events. If y'all are interested in coming and joining the Identity Lab, or if you want the free calculator, I won't ask you for anything. You don't got to sign up with no email list or none of that. Just drop the word calculator in the comments and I'll send it to you. Bye.